welcome. We are back with another Honey's Horror Review. I am Raiden. This is Blood Honey. And of course, continuing on with Friday the 13th. We just got done watching Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. And again, to reiterate, I am the horror fan. She, not so much. So this one going into especially, I was curious to see how she would feel about it. So let's jump right in. Walking away from Jason Lives, how do you feel about it?
I'm coming to appreciate Savini's work more and more because when it's not, it's just definitely not as good. Um, it was mostly like off camera kills, just out of sight. Um, Gut shots, uh, the boring stuff. But the twisting the one girl's head and like kind of popping that off, that was pretty cool. Give him that. But that's kind of Jason's mo. He's a brute. So the brute force attacks, it's insane. I'm gonna give Jason props for that for sure. And definitely cheesy 80s stuff going on. Some corny characters you really don't care about. And some of them you do root for. Like, you got your two main characters at the end, and you're like, gotta protect the kids.
Yeah, first movie so far with actual kids in it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so this was 86. It was the year after A New Beginning. Of course, that one, by the end of that movie, we see Jason was not the actual killer. And so, of course, like a Season of the Witch type of scenario where it's like, hey, we're here for the star. Where's the star of the movie? Where's Jason? And so, of course, they went back to basics, bring them back. But this one, it had Tom McLaughlin directing this one, and he kind of wanted to make like an old-fashioned like monster movie, like The Mummy and Frankenstein type of deal, like those old school Universal monster type films. And he said basically it's just like, I'd like to make a movie where you can kind of watch it in like black and white, and you can kind of get that vibe from it. On top of that, also kind of want to go a more satirical approach because this was the sixth film in the franchise. And so he kind of wanted to, not do exactly the same thing, kind of poke fun at, what was already, very trope-esque, throughout the franchise so far. And to that extent, I would say he actually greatly succeeds. This is a fan favorite. It's right up there with like part 4. It's like a back and forth, like which one is the preferred film. And yeah, I mean, so like you were saying with the kills, I'd say that this film in general, it's like two sides of the same coin with part 4. And what I mean by that is that part 4, it gets Friday the 13th like done like to the max. Like I said, by that point they had like been firing on all cylinders as a true slasher, as a true kind of like scary type of film with some good solid kills and some decent characters. This one, I would say, does the same thing, but to a different effect. Like I said, so to a more satirical effect, where
Stuff.
it's just overall though. Like I said, even more so than part 4, I would say that this one, it is overall like a better made film on a technical level. You can tell there's just a little bit more kind of behind it, and just the execution of it, where it was playing on a self-aware level. Where yeah, it's not as much of a scary film as the fourth one, where like I said, that is more like the true heart of the final chapter, where this one, like I said, is played a little bit more to comedic effect, but at the same time kind of it's just a well-made movie overall, like from start to finish. And it just, yeah, the kills are pulled back. Again, this is kind of like where the MPAA was really kind of like hammering down on these films. But I would say that doesn't take away from the film itself because of just how well executed it actually is. Because for me, I feel like this one has the most concise and most clear kind of plot from start to finish, where everything was kind of like rinse and repeat before. This one adds the element where you start off with Tommy, he wants to kill Jason, he brings him back, and then you kind of have like the plot. Okay, now we truly have to.
Accidentally brings him back.
Yeah, yeah. But we truly have to stop Jason, and he's kind of butting heads with the sheriff character, and I feel like the sheriff character is actually very well acted. He's that typical like a-hole character that it's just like just listen to the guy. But for me, watching him in this movie from the beginning, I can actually understand where he's coming from because from the very start he acts very reasonable and kind of understandable for him reacting to the way he is with Tommy. How did you feel about him in particular? Did you feel like he was just a straight like a-hole character, or did you kind of see where he was coming from in terms of like the whole scenario? Because you can
No,
kind of understand where.
no, I do because apparently they've gone and changed the name, so they were protecting that, and they didn't want, I guess to cause mass hysteria or anything like that. So I definitely get that part, and I think it's kind of funny changing the name.
Yeah.
And then when he shows up there and he's just kind of looking at it like, what? What'd y'all do here? That was funny.
Yeah.
No, but no, I get it. I definitely do.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, just for me, I felt like I said, four had some fun characters. This one does too. But I feel like you get a good dynamic of character. You have Tommy the hero, you have the sheriff in there that kind of really kind of keep things grounded and kind of being a force other than just Jason himself against Tommy. And you have like the Final Girl-esque character, even though this one is still Tommy's story. He's still kind of like the focal point. You have that one strong supporting character in Megan, the daughter of the sheriff, in there that kind of helps support him along the way. And like I said, just overall some good fun counselor characters. You have the one girl who I think is actually, like having said before, like you might give those one kills every now and again, and you truly actually kind of feel bad for, like the one short-haired girl who gets killed. You don't really see her get killed, but you see the aftermath is just a bloody mess all across the cabin, and you're just like, damn, what did you do to her? She probably got worse than anybody, but genuinely like the nicest character probably in the whole series, and it's just like, damn, you feel bad when she died, and it's
she didn't do anything to anybody. Except,
no, she was she was like a
kids.
really genuinely like good character. It's just like you actually feel bad when she actually gets killed off. So as far as the characters overall, did you enjoy them in this one? Did you think they were fun? Did you like Court and stuff like that? And
I did. That was actually my favorite part. I mean, when he went off with the chick and, they were doing their thing. And then who shows up.
Yeah. And first Friday the 13th movie with no nudity either. I mean, they had like the full,
almost.
like they had the sex, but no real nudity. No
Yeah, almost. You can, I guess there was like maybe a side shot, but that part there, it's just, I think Jason was very well done in this one, in that just the subtle movements, the head tilt when he's standing there looking at the RV thing, like, really, you're breaking one of the commandments there. You're doing the nasty, and now you gotta die.
Yeah, CJ Graham, who was Jason in this one, they had one guy at the start of shooting, but they didn't really like him too much.
Oh, really?
He was also kind of overweight. Like the one scene with you see those people playing paintball. That scene was a different actor in that one, because he was a little, probably you could tell if you look closely, he's probably a bit more bloated, bit more of a gut. So like they had actually replaced him with CJ Graham, who is Jason for the majority of the film, and so yeah, he does, like watching it this time, and again just watching it like on this new restored version where they really went back and color corrected and the look of the film, and it looks really good, and it just helped me kind of like definitively say more so just how much I would say that it's a really great film and my favorite of the franchise overall, I would say.
Well, I wouldn't know yet.
I mean, honestly, after this, it's pretty much just downhill. It's like a slow slope just going down the hill. I will say this is pretty much peak Friday the 13th, I would say, after this. But
well, yeah, it was, I guess, technically a well done movie. The bit with the paintball people was like really boring for me. I don't know. It was just,
I can understand.
It was boring. It kind of felt out of place. Like they just needed filler.
Maybe,
So
but like I said, with this one, like I said, because I did say in the last one where if there's kind of like an overabundance of side characters that are getting killed off, and not even by Jason, no less,
yeah,
which is weird. But then this one, it's just like, well, I can kind of understand considering Jason's coming from the cemetery. He's gonna have to probably travel back a little bit to get to Camp Crystal Lake, and also like again playing up the satire in this film. Just if you watch the whole sequence and break it down, it's just like it's playing very much into that angle. The one thing I was saying that's probably a bit too much was probably when he slammed the guy's heads into the tree and you get the smiley face imprint on it, which is kind of probably a bit much even for this movie. But hey,
yeah,
it is what it is.
I saw that.
And Court, going back to him, I think if I recall, like I think he's supposed to be like John Travolta's nephew. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So you can probably see the resemblance going back to that.
I thought he looked a bit familiar.
Yeah. I think he's
but
supposed to be his
yeah.
nephew. I think, yeah. Yeah, but that scene is great. He's just like, yeah, this is great. He's just driving the RV, just having a good old time. The girlfriend is just like, hey, you take a dump in there or what? I mean, that's just is a great sequence. Like I said, it's the lack of blood, but just the execution and the setups of the scenes and how they end. They just work out so well. To honestly, you just don't really mind the lack of actual blood and effects throughout because it's just made very well. I
And
think.
coming to the end of that scene, after Jason stabs him and makes it crash,
Yeah, and how
and
the
then he's
song
just
stops.
standing on top. That was actually pretty cool. I said that as much while we were watching. Like,
Yeah,
I
and
love that
yeah,
shot.
yeah, that was supposed to be like the last shot that they actually had filmed. Man, I think they pretty much like had like one take to really get it right and everything. So,
Oh, I
yeah,
love it when that happens.
and just him standing on top. Yeah, many people say that's probably the most epic shot, and definitely makes the film really evolve and feel like the most like a blockbuster, at least up until this point, to show that they had some real like budget behind it, kind of, doing some real like kind of action oriented type
Yeah,
stuff as
that was a pretty
opposed to.
slick RV thing to just crash like that.
Yeah. C.J. Graham in this movie, like as Jason, I would say he's very kind of Terminator esque. Like you said,
Now
he
that I
kind of
think
has a
about
certain
it,
stiff movement, but at the same time does have a certain
pretty
like.
swift.
Yeah. Stiff but swift. But yeah, because like you look at like Michael and like Halloween 2, where he is very slow and kind of robotic, but similar to that. But this one, like I say, he has more of a brute force and does have a certain swiftness to him throughout the movie, and he was real fun to kind of watch his performance.
I don't know
And
where the brute force comes from, unless he was training underwater all those years.
yeah,
But that's insane.
yeah.
That dude is crazy.
Yeah, and going back to the opening, I would say the opening is actually very, very cool and very exciting. The best opening of the series, I would say, just really helps set the tone, and the whole opening kill, he shoves his hand through the chest and pulls out the heart and everything. It's just it's a really nice effect.
Yeah, I'll give him that. I know it wasn't Savini, but
Hmm.
I'll give him a pass on that one.
Yeah. So as far as Tommy Jarvis, how do you feel about this Tommy compared to the other two? Did you like him? Not so much. Your favorite, least favorite? What do you think?
I only have one other adult to compare it to. So the last one I think is a little more wrought with the PTSD, I guess. And this one seemed, a bit more sane. Maybe still struggle a little bit, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's got his wits about him for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing about this movie. Is like again, considering how the last one was, honestly, you could literally just watch part four, like from 1 to 4 on, and then just jump to this one, skip five, and you really wouldn't know this much of a difference at all. You could just cut that one out, and the jump would seem probably even more organic, honestly, if you just kind of cut that one out and just being like, yeah, this is where he is now. Just going straight back to Jason, the extra sidetrack, kind of like side story, with like the the running false Jason that he dealt with and everything. You could probably do that and it would work out just fine. I would say as far as Tommy's go, I would say Tom Matthews. He is my favorite. A lot of people will say Corey Feldman, and I can understand that. Him just being Corey Feldman, even being
Well, they
such a.
introduced the character with him,
I know,
so
but even at being at such a young age, but I don't know. I guess I just enjoy this like older version because he's just more adapted at this point, and he just kind of, he's just like more of a direct threat to Jason in that sense because he knows what the deal is, and
Mm-hmm.
like saying just the whole surrounding movie and his dynamic with the sheriff. I just really enjoy that whole aspect to it. Yeah, so overall, maybe my favorite of all the Tommies, which is interesting because yeah, typically it's a new girl each movie or something, or maybe a carryover character like a final girl, but this is really like the only franchise, at least of this magnitude, where it's really the guy that's the star throughout this kind of like trilogy of films. It's like the Jarvis trilogy, if you will, where he's a certain direct threat to Jason. Where, yeah, even though he's recast, and so that kind of takes away from some of the continuity in terms of attaching like a Dr. Loomis or a Laurie Strode type of thing. But for the effect of the character, it works well enough, and each one kind of brings their own thing, so it's not too bad of a thing. As far as the climax of the film, how did you feel about it? Did you think it was pretty good?
Uh, yeah, the end there, and yeah, he's finally at the camp, and you know, scaring the bejesus out of the kids there in that cabin. Like that's pretty. Yeah, I'd be terrified off, my rocker.
Mm-hmm.
And then then he lures him out into the water, and he does his little thing with the rock.
Mm-hmm.
That was Yeah, that was pretty slick. And then she starts up the motor,
Yeah.
kind of does him in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So she kind of gets her points for being the final girl because she's the one who gets the final one up on Jason by the end of it. And it's interesting too towards the end where you get that, at least that one little moment where it kind of plays into Jason's psyche. Where of course you can't have him going around like killing little kids and whatnot, but you do have the one scene where he's kind of like slowly looking down at that girl and just like kind of like looking at this kid and just kind of observing, and just kind of like so just a little moment like that just kind of helps plays back to his like childlike psyche and
this
everything.
looks
So
familiar.
yeah, 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 and also to kind of go into this point, this is of course the first time where we see Jason resurrected, where he is truly undead, and it goes into that whole supernatural element. Where of course the first films it's more so implied, of course, that he is human. Um, like so, how much? Like so, with your minor knowledge of the series and everything, did you know like was Jason always undead to you? Did you not know when that would happen exactly? And do you think it works better as an undead version, or what do you think overall of?
I just thought he was always that way. I mean, considering he drowned,
Mm-hmm.
so I figured he was, like Michael Myers, some sort of evil thing that can't really die. So yeah, the ending didn't really surprise me. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought it was always that way.
It's actually one of the things I appreciate about the series because, like I said, going from like 1 to 4, and by 4 is where, like I said, they were kind of like really had their footing together, and they were really like just had everything going right. And then you have the dip with 5, but then the sixth installment, which is typically the worst installment of these horror franchises, like Elm Street and Halloween. Like I said, those their sixth installments are pretty bad. This is actually one where the sixth installment, is arguably the best installment. And like I said, where the films kind of gradually kind of go upwards, a little bit of a dip, but then up again. Where, like I said, they just kind of have this slow evolution where you have, Jason you go from his mother being the killer to the sackhead to his hockey mask to being killed to being undead, and then there on and so forth. That's the one thing I enjoy about the series is because, like I said, it's a slow evolution, and so Jason is constantly growing more, into like the persona, like into the big character that he is, which is why it's interesting to me
Mm-hmm.
seeing this film be the way that it is. Oh yeah, I will say this: the one like true like distinct flaw, at least in terms of the general plot and going forward. Um, I find it funny that to get Tommy out of the jail cell, like she grabs the gun from the deputy and points it at him, obviously to try to coerce him to get Tommy out of the cell. But knowing that that's the sheriff's daughter, you know in your right mind that she is not going to shoot you at all. You easily could have called her damn bluff and just been like, "Really, girl, you're gonna shoot?" I'm like, "I'll stand here all night. I don't care. You're not gonna shoot me." And so I'm not opening the cell to get him out. Do you think that? Because I would say that's like the one standout flaw of the movie in terms of, like I said, it's just kind of like, she's not gonna shoot your ass. I mean, come on, man. Like, really, if it was Tommy that got it, maybe, but
Yeah, I
like if they had knocked him out or done something else differently, but I'm like, she's not going to shoot you, bruh. There's no effing way she's going to. She's not.
I I didn't think of it quite like that, but
Mm-hmm.
you mentioning it,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like I said, that's just the one thing I've just been like, I can't go for that. Like, she's not. Nope. Mm-mm. She's not. You bang. Yep. No. Nope. Not gonna happen. Okay. So, any last saying of your feelings of the film, or?
No, it was, a typical 80s sort of movie, had that whole thing going for it, and, Alice Cooper doing a soundtrack didn't help.
Hey, I like the song. I don't care.
Yeah, no, the ending credit song is really super cheesy. I don't know if he's
Well,
super
it
proud
adds
of that
something to it.
one.
Like, it's the first one where it kind of has like its own like nice little song to go along with it, and it's just and it's pretty iconic at this point, just being like synonymous with the series in a way, and it's just fun. It's just nice to have it though with this movie by this point, especially knowing the nature of this film in particular. It's just nice to have it, I think.
Yeah, no, it was a good film. Like I said, except for the paintball people, it really just bored me. Uh, the rest of it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
The effects weren't my favorite, but they served their purpose. So yeah, let's see what's next.
Yeah, and finally, on the case of the music, I like what Henry Manfredini did for the music in this one. Listening to it again, it's like dun 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 dun. It just had like like a little some extra to it, from the previous films that I really enjoyed listening to this time around. To where it's like, I really enjoyed the music he did with this one in particular. Like, I like it. But yeah, finally, as a final score, I'd give it a solid 4.5. So it's a half a point higher than the final chapter for me. I will say definitively at this point, it is my favorite of the franchise. It just, again, even though part 4 had the kills, and like I said, it's just peak Friday the 13th, but for different reasons. One's like the true, like, kind of creepy slasher film. This one's the more, a little bit more poking fun at itself, but very well executed. And just overall, like I said, it felt like it had a more complete type of story happening. Like I said, just because characters like the sheriff, just kind of help keep it grounded. Because I really did enjoy him throughout this movie, and just kind of being, like I said, the force for Tommy to kind of, And he did have a good death, by the way. Like I said, just pure being bent back, and yeah. Because by the end,
Well,
I mean,
thank you.
yeah. Because by the end, I mean, he was standing up to Jason, trying to protect his daughter, and just trying to do the right thing. So, like I said,
Shot him full of lead.
yeah. He just
Yeah.
kept getting back up, and Jason's like, "No, you don't get back up. No, you don't. I'm getting back up again." It was enjoyable, yeah. Yeah. So, very, very good film. So, in terms of a score, you give it probably like what, maybe a 4? You say on your part,
At
or
very least,
Yeah.
yeah. Probably just gonna agree with you again. But definitely at very least a 4. Better than the others. Better than the last one. That's for sure. And yeah, I'm sure on future viewings we'll find more bits and pieces to go over.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that will do it for our review of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. We hope you enjoyed. Of course, there will be more to come because tomorrow's Halloween and whatnot. So we'll do something. We shall see. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated. And we'll see you next time. Bye for now.